Classic tweens are an older form of motion tween that has been renamed in the past few versions of Flash Professional. This lesson will demonstrate the use of classic tweens. So classic tweens are actually used on symbol instances. So if I create a movie clip symbol, I can create a classic tween through that. Create just a basic circle here. And we'll position it just to the left. And you'll notice in our layer here that's been named transform that we actually have one keyframe and it's been filled with this shape. Now for a classic tween, we're going to have to convert this shape into a movie clip symbol. So let's go to modify, convert to symbol, and we'll choose movie clip in this case and call it ball. Okay. So now we can see that this shape has been converted into a movie clip symbol, and we now have a movie clip symbol instance on our stage. So great. Now we can perform a classic tween. So to do so, let's go over to frame 50, and we'll right-click and insert a keyframe. When we insert a keyframe, it's going to replicate the object that was on frame 1 in this new keyframe as well. So I'll be able to move this over, and I'll be able to perform some transforms on this. So I can make it larger like this. Maybe that's too large. And reposition it. And we could rotate it. Since it's a circle, that's not going to be anything that's really going to be displayed. But we can do things like color effects to it. So maybe I'll make it get a little dark here. All right. So now we have this little instance here, and it starts on the keyframe of frame 1. And as we move the playhead across 49 frames, we can see that that instance is still the same. But when we hit frame 50, the instance gets larger, it moves to the other side of the stage, and it has a color effect applied to it. So to create an actual classic tween from this, we're going to click on any of these frames in this span right here. Right-click on there, and we're going to say Create Classic Tween. Notice we could also create a motion tween with movie clip symbol instances, but we cannot create shape tweens because shape tweens are only used with basic shapes. So choose Create Classic Tween. Okay. A number of things have happened. We can see that in between frame 1 and frame 50, which are keyframes, this span of frames has a little arrow drawn through it showing movement from frame 1 to frame 50. And all of these frames are also colored purple. If I actually scrub the playhead, we can see that Flash Professional has actually animated and filled in these in-between frames between our two keyframes. So something we can do when we go through here is we can actually insert additional keyframes. So say we want to perhaps insert a keyframe here and perform a transform like that. Maybe rotate it a little bit, something of that nature. So now that we've done this, we can start off at frame 1 and we can see that transform take place, and then it goes back to our circle. So all of these things are happening automatically by using the tweening mechanism inside of Flash Professional. You'll notice in the Properties Inspector here, we have a number of additional controls for an actual motion tween. So if I click on any of the frames here, we can adjust things such as the easing. So ease in or ease out. It's very basic, but what it does is when I play this, you'll see it sort of slows down there. That gives things sometimes a more natural feel as they're being moved across the stage. We can also go into the easing editor, in which we can go through and adjust the easing for specific items. So position, rotation, scale, color, and filters can all be eased independently of one another. Or we can actually tie them all together and just use one easing mechanism for all of them. So you see how this works. We have this little chart here, this graph, and we're able to put down little anchor points. And we can even preview this. So you can see my easing starts off slow, and then it jumps up and completes. We can also choose rotation options. So do we want to rotate this object clockwise, counterclockwise, or simply let Flash decide which way it should go, and how many times? We can also choose things like snap, syncing symbols, scale, or orient to path. So a number of options here in order to give us a little more control over the tweening that we do with classic tweens. So this has been an example of how to use classic tweens within Flash Professional.